Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Amy Giroux, Director of Global Vision, joining you live from my home in Gatineau, Quebec, to yours to deliver what we like to say at GV, some great news. Over the past several months, Global Vision has been extremely busy, providing youth from coast to coast to coast and around the globe with some solid career advice and life lessons shared by our GV grads and partners. And today, I'm so excited to have one of our GV grads in the house, Nils Engelstad, who is, as I mentioned, a graduate of GV in 1997, was our first year, I believe. Nils is now the Vice President and General Counsel of Alamos Gold. Nils, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Amy. Thanks for having me, Terry.
Yeah, it's nice
Great to see you both.
In these COVID times, this is for sure. Nils, if we could talk first a little bit about, because what we've been trying to help our young viewers with is we're looking at different careers across the spectrum, about a little bit about what you're doing with Openness Gold.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm trained as a lawyer and I work as a lawyer at Alamos, but Alamos is a mid-tier gold mining company. And what many people may not know is that Toronto and Canada, and Vancouver and Toronto in particular, are global hubs for mining finance. And once we get outside the big cities in Canada, mining and natural resources generally form a significant part of the Canadian economy. And it's a sector that's hungry for talent, and it's a sector that's well paying with still plenty of opportunity. Alamos, as a mid-tier gold producer, despite the global uncertainty around COVID, has done incredibly well, and that's reflective of the sector as a whole. You have global uncertainty, and capital tends to flight to safe havens. And one of those safe haven investments is gold. And gold is currently at a record high, meaning business has almost never been better. Little known secret, but it'll soon be out, and I think you'll soon see in popular culture and media more focus on gold and mining type investments.
So that's some great news for our young viewers. If you think back to your younger self, and you still are very young, what kind of career advice would you give to, now since this is our back to school edition, thinking about these youth navigating these challenging COVID times, what would be something that you would share with them?
Well, I think, first and foremost, and I can say this with absolute certainty as a Global Vision grad, the lessons you learn from GV are lessons that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. And first and foremost, it's maintaining that golden Rolodex. So it doesn't matter what age or stage you're at, focus on building your network and genuine connections. I realize that today it's probably harder than any other time when it's so difficult to go out and meet people. But it comes back to doing what young people already do so well, which is enhance your global online presence and focus on reaching out and developing connections that are genuine and provide some value added. And so I think that's the first and foremost, the most important piece of advice. The second one is be flexible. And if, my involvement with Global Vision's taught me anything, it is, it doesn't matter where you are in the world or what you're doing or what sector you're working in, but have an open mind and realize things don't go always in accordance with plan. And today that is more relevant than ever. Your career path and trajectory is not going to look exactly what you anticipated it would, but guess what? It could still be amazing. And so as long as you have an open mind and some flexibility, and most importantly, and Terry and Amy get this firsthand, a good sense of humor about it all, you will move on and get to that next stage or whatever your goal is. In the context of COVID, I still think, take the opportunity in the downtime if you have some to learn, be patient, realize that we're all working in exceptional circumstances, and try to see where, at a time where a lot of people struggle, where you can be of help. And I think there's plenty of opportunity still out there. And so with those high level mantras, I think there's, the future's still bright for people who are coming out of school or just embarking on their career today.
Well, Nils, thank you for sharing that with us. I just think back to all of our experiences, living boots on the ground on trains and planes and automobiles, just going around exploring all those different countries that we got the opportunity to do that with together. And I look forward to the future of our world opening back up. I know Terry's going to have some questions for you, but before we go to Terry, I would like to throw it to my ray of sunshine, Michael Battis, joining us live from Calgary, Alberta, to give us some domestic and international news. Michael, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Amy. It's good to see you today. And we actually have sports news, international news, and domestic news to report on today. So a whole slate. First, we start with our domestic news. There was a BC elementary school where students basically just recently found a treasure map that was hidden by a student 40 years earlier, indicating that there is a certain amount of money hidden under a tree in the schoolyard. So if you find yourself in Revelstoke, BC this summer waiting for an adventure, jump on down to the Columbia Elementary School and you can find yourself some good old treasure. Now moving on to our international front. You'll stand with me one second here. So the United Kingdom just basically started by having the very first socially distanced concert in the post-COVID era. So every single module has the equivalency or the ability to hold up to 6 people for an event, and you'll never have to wait for a drink because there's an in-house bar that's stocked all the time. It's a great way to continue to enjoy music, but also to get out there and enjoy some time with your friends as well in a post-COVID era. And lastly, today we have a very heartwarming story from the sports area. NHL player who plays for the Philadelphia Flyers, Oscar Lindblom, was diagnosed with a form of cancer in December 2019. After 8 months of treatments and now being declared cancer-free, Oscar got back on the ice for the first time last week in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs between the New York Islanders and the Philadelphia Flyers. This is an incredible recovery and a great testament to showing that no matter what you are faced with in life and whatever challenge you may be coming by, there's always a way to get through it and to persevere. So great news today from Some Great News all across the world. And I'll pass it back to you, Amy.
Thank you, Michael. I missed our ray of sunshine when we had our little hiatus in August. And I have to say, I was a Philly sports fan, so I'm a little sad that the Flyers didn't make it to the next level. But thank you for sharing that heartwarming story and the other stories with us. Now it's that time in our episode where we're joined with the president and founder of Global Vision and my number one dad, Terry Clifford. Good afternoon, Dad.
All right, Amy, it looks like a great show shaping up here. Outstanding guest, an old friend from the 90s yet, right? So Nils, those were the good days of Global Vision where, yes, you built relationships, but you were able to represent our community. Since you're from London, you could represent our community in many countries around the world to promote our community and business interests in our community. You would do that personally. I saw you in action many times. Today, our young ambassadors don't have that opportunity. Can you see in this virtual world that we're in today, virtual connections, can you see how that could play out today? Your first mission was to Malaysia. So imagine a Junior Team Canada mission in 2021, let's say to Malaysia, but of course it'll be virtual. Could you see that working?
Well, I think I have two answers to that, Terry, which is, of course it can work. And we have the technology and we have the willpower. And then second of all, I think it's imperative that we make it work. We have to make it work. And, it's been the global vision way to make it work no matter what circumstance we find ourselves in. And, part of the necessity when I went to Malaysia and Singapore in 1997 was we didn't have the technology, we didn't have the ability to meet virtually, we didn't have the ability to share documents and resources that we do today. I remember having an email address on dial-up internet, and it was one email address that my whole family shared, because one email address came with the account. Today we have so many ways of being accessible online, meeting online, collaborating online. I think the struggle isn't the technology or connecting people, it's making those personal connections. And that's what we have to work at. We have to take the time to actually get to know people. And by way of example, I work in a company with over 2,000 employees, and I've started regularly scheduling coffee with people by Zoom. Not to discuss a specific business matter, but just to catch up with them, to maintain that personal connection. And I think that's what I look back at all the work that we've done through Global Vision, going on trade missions, being there in person at leadership centers. It's the personal connections, the ability to sit down and chat and have a cup of coffee that drives business forward. And that's going to be, I think, the difficult thing to achieve remotely, but I'm still confident that we can do it.
Okay, take for example, be specific now. Go back to 90, I think it was 97, when you went to Ipoh. Remember going to Ipoh, Malaysia?
Yeah.
When you're doing the sewer work.
That's right.
It's not a bad memory of mine, right?
Not bad at all.
So just take a few seconds to tell the viewers what your specific purpose was there and how you did that, how you made that connection, how you made that mission a success.
Well, in 1997, 98, I represented a London engineering company that focused called Heat Tech Solution. It was called Heat Solutions at the time. And they provided services and products in the potable water, wastewater, gas line monitoring, basically any civil infrastructure where you had pipes with things running through it. These guys would help you out. And they would provide services to big cities and municipalities around the world. And they sold equipment, they sold training, and they sold services. And they were interested in Malaysia because Malaysia was a quick and fast-growing emerging economy with a lot of infrastructure growth. The key there was, just like we said, putting a face to a name, getting on the ground, a backpack full of brochures and literature, and going to see people, whether by taxi or bus or however you got yourself around Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, often with a paper map, hoping that you'd arrive on time. No GPS, no Google Maps, no Waze. And so that is how you did it. You got on the ground and you wore down shoes and you got to see people. I think in part you did that because you had to. And I've done that numerous times since then, unrelated to Global Vision, with that exact same feeling, whether I sat in a cab in Buenos Aires, in Mexico City, in Istanbul, or in London. It's that exact same approach holds true in real life. Going forward, we're going to have to do it virtually. But so much of what we did back then, which was really out there pounding the pavement, can now be done virtually. And it's going to take some courage. It's going to mean asking to set up video calls instead of phone calls. It's going to take an effort to provide literature in advance, written in an easy, succinct way that gets people's attention. And it's going to require some flexibility around your sleep patterns, because if you want to succeed in a global world, you really have to be time zone agnostic and be willing to be up at all times of the night. Still entirely possible.
I like that, Neil. And from your company's perspective, then you see that it's possible, and could you imagine Alamos Gold sponsoring a young Canadian ambassador on such a mission?
Of course. And if they don't, I will personally sponsor a young ambassador on such a mission. I mean, that is part of the Global Vision mantra, which is give back and provide other young people with that same meaningful experience, but not for nothing, because the whole point is there's real value added. And you ask the companies that young people have represented, you know, this isn't an outing, this isn't camp, this isn't volunteerism, this is real work. And any young person we sponsor will look for that and have that same accountability. And we look forward to it.
Thank you, Neil. That's a good wrap up, and it gives us direction for the future. Because next year's our 30th year, and we want to celebrate 30, but go forward for 30 more. And the groundwork's being laid.
Absolutely, Terry. You know, listen, I've been involved for 23 years now, and there's not a year that hasn't gone by where I don't think the best is ahead for Global Vision. So I'm an incredible optimist, and so grateful for you having me on this program.
Well, this program is a sign of the new times for Global Vision. So it's great to have a grad that can think in the future like you do, and it'll make the 30 more that are coming a reality. Thanks, Nils, very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Nils, for joining us today, and to all the rest of the GV family for our Back to School edition. I'd like to introduce our viewers to Mr. Bojangles. He is the newest addition to the GV family, joining Lizzie, Lucky, and Leo. You can only imagine how much fun the cats are having with this Mr. Big Paws. Yes, as Neil said, I mean, a big part of what Global Vision is paying it forward, right, and giving back. So, Nils, thank you for those kind words. And for all of our viewers out there, we're really excited about getting this fall off the ground. In our next episode, we're going to be able to share with you how you can continue to get the experience that matters virtually until we can all be together again soon. So be safe and be strong, and continue to watch Some Great News. Have a great day, everyone.